What an eventful day in the NBA. We got injuries, wild lineup changes. It's all here. We're going to talk about it. And Michael Bolton, just sit down and listen.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm going to be hosting this show for the foreseeable future. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, enter the code Locked On NBA, and get yourself $20 off your first purchase. Also, your favorite team has got a newsletter, lockedondaily.com. Sign up to your favorite team's newsletter to get all of the information that you want on your team every day, because it is your team every day. Also, give us a double bang and a thumb and a comment. Only 4 games on today, but still lots of stuff. The Atlanta Hawks decided to just rule everyone out forever. We got Kyle Kuzma updates. We got Warriors wildness. We got Jazz pre-tanking, just fully leaning into it immediately. It's weird. It's happening. There's a lot of stuff going down. So let's dig in. Let's talk about it. Let's recap the stuff that we need to. 2 shows already today, so you can go check out some of the information, injuries, and that sort of stuff. But I'll cover off some of the big information right here to start this thing. To start this thing off for us now, and the Hawks. This is the big one, right? Because just after I'd finished recording the information in the injury report show, we got a big update from Atlanta. And Bogdanovic, surgery on his hamstring, 4 weeks plus. Not great. Vic Krejci, groin strain, 2 weeks plus. Dyson Daniels, hip flexor strain. They're saying day-to-day, but that's at least a week. Kobe Buffkin, shoulder subluxation, 4 weeks plus. If you haven't realized the connection there, all those players are guards. Every one of them is a guard. Bogdanovic, Daniels, Krejci, Buffkin. Meaning the guard left on this team is Trae Young. And I say guard, I meant it singularly, because there's nobody else. Unless you want to count two-way legend Keaton Wallace, that's it. So DeAndre Hunter, who's really a 3-4, is he even healthy? Is Zachary Ricochet a 6'9" small forward, power forward? Is he going to have to play shooting guard? Probably. So there's just no one there. Don't drop Daniels. Do drop Bogdanovic. Of course, unless you've got injured reserve, then it's always going to be a different story. And it's just bad news. Bad news all around for just a million situations, a million things all converging at once. The Wizards, I didn't think this was anything. That Kyle Kuzma left the last game. We didn't really get an update on it. They said, groin strain, and then they ruled him out. But they ruled him out saying it's a groin strain and saying updates on recovery will be provided. Now, that is ominous to me. Remember, a strain is a tear. Vic Krejci just went out with a groin strain, and that's at least 2 weeks. Groin strains are notoriously fickle. This is a team that is notoriously trying to lose. This is not a one-game thing. I am very certain of that for Kuzma. It could be 3 weeks. It could be 6 weeks. It could be 8 weeks. I just don't know, but it is a long-ish... Well, it's not a one-game thing. Now, what will they do? Will they move Sarr back to power forward and start Valanciunas at center? They could. Will they start Sarr at center and start Keyshawn George at the 4? Maybe. Do they just go really small with Bilal at the 4 or Corey Kispert, however you want to do it? Possible. I tell you what I don't think they'll do is start Marvin Bagley, so I don't think we worry about that one. It probably will be Valanciunas and Sarr, but I don't think this means 28 minutes for Valanciunas. They are pretty comfortable in not playing him those minutes and just going small and getting minutes into the guys who they think are going to be developing. Carrington, Poole, Bilal, Kispert. I think it'll be a little bit of George. Sarr, obviously. So, make sure Bilal is rostered. Make sure Sarr is rostered. Kispert would be a grab. Valanciunas is a hold just to see what they do. But we'll paralyze this. Paralyze, wrong word. Parallelize. Draw parallels. That's not a real word. I'm inventing it. I'm like Shakespeare, creating words, even though he was not a real person. And he's a made-up figment of our imaginations that someone used as a cover story for someone else to write novels. / plays. Plays, not novels. That's what Shakespeare wrote. So look at what Utah is doing with them being terrible, someone getting hurt, and they said, right, young guys, that's it. Don't worry about Valanciunas. Don't worry about Bagley. Don't worry about the nonsense. Let's see what George does, who's like 6'9". Let's see what Kispert does. So yeah, Bilal, Kispert, Sarr, Adam. George, deeper leagues. And then Lonzo Ball, out 10 days. Nothing to do with his knee, sprained his wrist. I love Lonzo, but get that garbage out of here. Now he's missing games, not for the thing that he's going to miss games for. It's really unfortunate. But you can't do, what else are you going to do? That you can't hold on to him in this scenario. You can't. I don't believe in it. I love him. I don't think he can do it. Let's look at waiver wire trends across the NBA. Over the last, since we last did it, 24, 26 hours or so since I did the waiver wire show, let's talk about who was added, who was dropped. The most added player is Scotland Pippen Jr. The Grizzlies still banged up. There's a lot of players to come back, and honestly, guys like Pippen and Huff and Lawrence of Laravia, these guys might not even play at all. Well, Pippen will, but maybe the other guys don't. But who cares? For now, we just roll with Pippen. So yeah, good ad. Peyton Pritchard. Unbelievable stuff, but Sam Hauser is back, so we'll see how that impacts him. Pritchard is providing good numbers. Again, the long-term upside appeal there is not there, but he's doing enough. Pants. I don't think I would have gone in there with Kevin Huerter and added him necessarily. If I need points in threes, sure, but I guess the benefit there is that the Kings are playing right now, so there's that. Ochai Agbaji, people doing that because Scott Barnes is out, and we don't have an update on Barnes. All we know is that he's out tomorrow with an eye injury, and I'm assuming that it's not a fracture. But I'm not ruling out that it's something serious. I think that Agbaji and Barrett will start at the 3-4. It could be Boucher, it could be Mobo. But Agbaji, for as much as I have told you relentlessly, I don't think he's good. He has had 3 good games in a row. And we just make that move if we want to. That's okay. I agree with that. This one, Kevon Looney, what's happening there? We'll talk more about the Warriors later on, but I guess it's because they play the back-to-back, but surely there was better options than him. Anyway. And then the big fella, Huff the Magic Dragon, Jay Huff, who is, at the moment, the Grizzlies' best center. Zach Edey also now questionable. So, yeah, I'm adding Huff. I would be very interested in adding Huff because if Edey doesn't play, Clark has been terrible, Morant might be out, you might get 26 minutes of Jay Huff, which honestly, he's a top 75 player. It probably doesn't last long term. But what is long term in the grand scheme of life? Outside of a dream that's distant in our memories. Just add Jay Huff. Or at least consider it. Who are we dropping? Taylor Hendricks, unfortunately. Obviously, the confirmation came through. Well, not obviously. The confirmation came through to confirm what we all knew was true, that he would miss the rest of the season. Shout out to him, and we hope that he gets through all of this. Ben Simmons got dropped. Why? Because he sat out today. We're not under the impression that he might sit a back-to-back? Fine to drop him. No problem. But just have the second most dropped player for people go, oh my God, what about Simmons? Simmons missed a game. I've got to get rid of him. Okay? Fine. They've got a nice little run of games coming up here, the Nets. So if you wanted to re-add him, he's fine. He's definitely not good, but he's fine. DeAndre Hunter was dropped. If he is healthy, I would be re-adding him. But I don't know because, again, nobody exists on that team at the moment. So yeah, you can look at that. Bennett Mathurin, yeah, that's because he's bad. Julian Champagny, the Spurs do have a nice little concentration of games, but with Devin Vassell returning, you're not losing anything long-term by dropping Champagny, so totally okay. And then Grayson Allen. Yeah, it was never going to happen to me that Allen was putting up anywhere close to the numbers of last season. It made no sense to suggest that he would be in there, and some of the early rankings had him extraordinarily high, just copy-pasting what he did last season. It's not happening. He's still returning from the Achilles issue, and the minutes just aren't available. So yeah, he's a very clear, in my mind, drop in a 12-team format. We've got 4 games. We'll talk about them in a sec, but today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. And more importantly, it's brought to you by Game Time Picks, the new feature that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Cut through the fluff. Bang. Slice it up. And give you the best ticket options instead of having to look through hundreds and thousands of different tickets. And is this one good? Is this one good? Don't worry about it. Game Time Picks sorts it. And that's just on top of all the other features they have. Views from your seat. Click it in and go, wow, what a lovely day this looks like. Wow, that's where I could be sitting. Unbelievable. Let's do it. Event cancellation protection. What if the event gets cancelled? Well, there's protection. Those 3 words all in a row, that's what it means. You've got the job loss protection. You've got the lowest price guarantee. You got all that stuff. Game Time provides what you want to take the guesswork out of buying tickets. So do that with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Okay. Let's go to the first game of the day. Your Denver Nuggets, after narrowly escaping the game against the Raptors in overtime, they are able to narrowly escape the game against the Brooklyn Nets in overtime. Not great. 144-139. And look at the minutes they have to pump into guys like Nikola Jokic. 41 minutes, 29, 18, and 16 on 56%. Now, it's undoubtedly unbelievable. Like, it's a really good game, but these minutes are out of control. Aaron Gordon played 33. He had 24, 5, and 2 after a couple of bad games. He was much better here. Michael Ponder continues to struggle. 16 and 5 is not bad, but it's not like blowing us away. It's not awesome. It's nothing along those lines. So Porter just continues to hover as a mid-based player, while Jamal Murray, the headmaster, had 24, 3, and 3, and not much more. On to Christian Brown. The minutes are absolutely gigantic, and that is enough to keep him rostered. I still have some real doubts that an 11% usage player is going to continue to be useful and continue to block 1.7 shots a game. I don't think there's any reality in that. But it's happening, so let's just see where it goes. Another 2 blocks for Brown here. He had 12 points with 2 threes. Well, we got a good game from Russell Westbrook. Now, sure this will trigger some of the haters, because I've told you that he was the worst player in the NBA. But this happens so often with these superstars, former superstars, is that you saw it with Kemba Walker. We've seen it with Isaiah Thomas. Is they come out, they have these gigantic performances, but you can't do it consistently. And that's the difference between being a current star or a washed star. Now, Westbrook was great. 22 points, 5 assists. Unbelievable 10 of 10 from the line. I think he hit 1 combined shot in each of the first 3 games. But the telltale sign will be, does he repeat this? I don't think so. I'm not rushing to add him because of this game. But it is an interesting wrinkle that we've been exposed to. Strouder and Watson both only the 7 points. They're not really doing much in that second unit. Let's take a look at the Brooklyn side of things, and there was, of course, no Ben Simmons in this one. So they moved Noah Clowney into the starting lineup, not Nick Claxton. Now, Claxton is still coming back from the hamstring injury, and he'll be out in tomorrow's game, and Simmons will return. As for Clowney, 16 minutes, 0 points, 1 block. I guess you could hold if you've already got him, because you'll get the backup minutes tomorrow. Otherwise,
get that garbage out of here.
Claxton, encouragingly, played 26 minutes. 16 and 12 with 3 blocks, shot 89%, and fouled out. He's going to be out tomorrow, but that indicates to me that we are pushing back to real minutes for Claxton very soon. Dennis Schroeder continues to be really, really impressive. 28 points, 14 assists, 57% shooting. This is not as simple as, all of a sudden we've got international fever ball Schroeder, because he was awesome at the World Cup last year and then had 3 good games for the Raptors and then was sucked. I really don't believe that Schroeder is going to be able to keep this up, or even that he'll be placed in this role all season long. But for now, he is killing it, and I did not see this coming. Dorian Finney-Smith, the bad free throws are a thing, but 17, 5, and 4, triple 1. While they give him minutes, which again is so weird, but while they do it, he's worth streaming in at least. Cam Johnson, one of his better games, 40 minutes for 20 points with 6 threes and 7 rebounds. And Cam Thomas, one of his worst games, and that still resulted in 26 points. Now, Thomas got 9 of 9 from the line, but shot poorly and added no defensive stats, but there's literally nothing you can complain about with drafting Cam Thomas and getting a game like this. What for? This is great. He's been really good, and that's awesome. It was also a very good game from Zaire Williams. It's a little deceiving. 18, 3, and 4 is clearly awesome in 22 minutes. He shot 88% to get there, though. So that's just an unrealistic target. He's not going to do that. He had struggled in some other games. He's flashing some stuff, but watch for when something happens with Dorian Finney-Smith, or if they move Cam Johnson. There will be a stretch of time, I believe, this season where Zaire Williams is useful for us, but it's not quite here at the moment. We also got some extra minutes for Jalen Wilson in this game, but not enough for us to really do anything in terms of adding him or being super interested in that. But he's at least a part of the rotation, and we know that part of it. The second game, Dallas and Minnesota. 121-14, rematch of the Western Conference Finals. Luka, we thought that might have been a serious injury. He was grabbing his knee, grabbing his hamstring. Went to the locker room, came back, played 40 minutes. He had 24, 8, and 9, hit a dagger 3 at the end. Now, he shot horribly for the second game in a row, 37%, and he definitely has not been as good as you anticipated he would be. I don't worry about it. It's Luka Doncic, but he has not been as good. Kyrie was really good, 35, 4 and 5, and you'll be shocked to know that the locker room legend Daniel Gafford went to the locker room. He also returned and played his customary 21 minutes. 14 and 4 with a steal and a block on 100% shooting. Looks like they're not going to push him much past that, but that's enough. In probably 12-team category, or definitely 12-team categories, and probably 12-team points. We got to do it because it's on. Klay Thompson's first game was great. And then he had 7 points in this one with 0 rebounds, hit 2 threes and shot 29%. Much like we just talked about with Westbrook. Stars can still do it, but just not consistently. And these games and these reduced minutes are exactly the reason I was pretty concerned about where Klay would be this season. First game of the season looked strong. Doesn't look anywhere near as strong anymore, and we're not dropping him, but we are getting we're getting close to it. We're moving pretty close to that because he just that's nothing. There's nothing there. And it's not that far away from the expectation I think that we should have had, given what he was like as a player, given the way this team looks, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, not great. Lively played 27 minutes, 5 and 9 with 3 steals and a block. He's a must-roster guy. It'd be very interesting if Kleber, or when Kleber returns, if Lively goes to a 23-minute player. But at the moment, we love what we're getting. And it was also a good Paul Washington game. 17 and 8 for Peach. He had 3 threes. We know what he does. He's up and down. He'll have a stinker in the next one with 2% shooting for 4 points. And then he has these ones. Really good. You roster him, and we go from there. Spencer Dinwiddie remains in the rotation ahead of old mate Jaden Hardy. And whatever. That is, I don't like it, but I also don't care that much. On to the next one. On to the next part of this game. It's Dallas. It's Minnesota. And the Minnesota side of things, Anthony Edwards, I think he had 23 or 24 in the first quarter. And then, well, whatever the rest is, out of 37 for the rest of the game. Just struggled after that. Didn't look good. Hurt his ankle multiple times. Played through it 37 minutes and had 37, 6 and 3. He shot 60% from the field, but he Palabankera'd his way to 6 of 12 from the line. Now, we all know that nearly every fantasy analyst was telling you that taking Anthony Edwards in the first round was a pretty bad idea. It was a pretty bad idea. He is 30th so far, 22nd in points leagues. There's just no real change in the overall production. Yeah, there's a little bit, but not really. Not enough of a change to suggest he would have jumped up that far. He's still fine he's not going to kill you, obviously. But that leap, I don't believe has come. It still might. I was also pretty bullish on Julius Randle this season, but he's way better than I expected. 20 and 7 with 7 assists and 2 steals. He's really playing well. Wasn't a good one from Rudy Gobert, who had 7 and 8. It's okay. We don't do anything outrageous there, but we've got to start having a discussion now about Mike Conley, I think. If you are in a 12-team or shallower points league, I don't think you need to hold on, because Conley had, 9 points, 6 assists in 22 minutes. He's averaging under 22 points a game.
Get that garbage out of here!
Category leagues is a little bit different, because finding 6 assists is not easy, and he does get those assists, but a 21-minute-a-night point guard, it's a really tough ask for that to be a consistent 12-team league player. If I'm in a 10-team category league, I think you could move on. 12, I do probably hold. And then that brings us to the other guard, the big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo. Again, I was down on him. I did not see how he would maintain this level of value that some assumed that he would have. There was definitely a feeling of an East Coast coastal elite bias with DiVincenzo, because it's like, this guy's so good. He's just going to take over. He'll just bench Collin and he'll start and he's awesome. He's not that good. He's fine, but he's not that good. 3 points, 17%, 6 assists and 2 steals. If you're in a shallow league, there's almost no rationale for holding a 7th man. None. In an 8 or 10, no reason for it. He is not a top 150 points league player. He's not a top 200 category league player so far. It's obviously small sample. I would like to hold in a 12-team category league, even though I am down on him. But it is playing out even worse than I expected. And I was probably the low man in terms of expectations on what he was going to do this season. Solid enough game from Jaden McDaniels, 13, 4 and 4, but that's just stream stuff. But on a day like today, when there's only 4 games on, well, that is when the streaming comes in, and that's when the streaming becomes useful. We've got 2 more games to cover, plus lines of the night. We'll get into those. Of course we will. Let's talk about this next game that, on one side, there's not a lot that really happened. We're talking Sacramento Kings and the Utah Jazz, because the Kings didn't have big changes that we needed to pay attention to, but the Jazz did. The Kings win it, of course. They're always going to win that. 113-96, easy victory for them against a team that honestly feels like it's put the Q in the rack already in the Jazz. And they copped that terrible injury yesterday to Taylor Hendricks and then another injury today to Lauri Markkanen and made changes to the lineup also. So, there are numerous things that are happening with this Jazz team that I fear that the shenanigans have started very early. We'll talk Kings first because let's do that. Sabonis, 34 minutes. The assist still a bit wonky. He hit another 3, but 28, 11, and 4. Great field goals. DeMar DeRozan, 20 and 4 with 8 assists. Great game. Kevin Huerter, 27 minutes, 14 and 5, 2 threes, 2 steals, a block. That is 14-team league territory, and it's moving to at least 12-team stream. I'm not going to get excited about it, but it's moving there. And Keegan Murray, that is fine. 14 and 5, 2 threes, but it's the exact sort of player that's about the 110th best player, not a top 70 guy. It's just too hard to do things in this lineup. Malik Monk, really rough stretch here. 18% shooting. At least his minutes went back up. 7, 4, and 3. I would hold him, but this is a big downturn. And Keon Ellis did the thing. He did the defense. He did the Alex Caruso. 2 steals, 3 blocks. But he played 17 minutes. We know that if Keon Ellis played 25, he would be great in fantasy. It's a long way away, though. Monk and Herder are taking minutes. Now, if you had him and got that game, you love that. It's just very hard to keep that going for 17 minutes a night. And I don't think that it needs to be held onto. It's great, but it just doesn't. That doesn't happen every game. I'm pretty sure we're aware of that. I'm pretty sure we're aware of that. I hope we are. On the other side of this game is where a lot of the changes happened because Taylor Hendricks was out, obviously, and they didn't start John Collins. I talked a little bit about this. I thought it would be Collins, but I talked about this in one of the shows that they've barely played Collins at center this season. I said there's a chance they move Lauri Markkanen back to his normal position and start Cody Williams. And that's what they did. What I didn't think they would do is start Jordan Clarkson over Collin Sexton. Now, Sexton, I believe, got benched about 2 minutes into the game yesterday. And he still played his normal minutes, but some very, very weird stuff going on here. And then Lauri Markkanen got hurt, didn't play in the second half. As for Markkanen, 7 and 3 in 17 minutes. Now, I was deathly afraid of drafting Markkanen. I didn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Because I said he's just not playing down this stretch of the season. I didn't know the stretch of the season was October the 29th, but that's where we're at. And then who started for him? Kyle Filipowski. And I actually made a joke about this earlier today, saying, what if they just want to go full Utah in the front court? They did. No John Collins. As for Collins, 23 minutes, 18 and 7, 111. That's still really good. So if you added John Collins and you got him, you're going to be happy with that. The problem with that is, it is so hard in 23 minutes to be that productive. Kessler only played 26 minutes. He had 2 blocks and 8 rebounds, but he's sort of settled a little bit now. As for Filipowski, 12 and 8, 2 threes, a steal. He missed both his free throws, but honestly, I don't know if Markkanen's coming back. Filipowski was first man off the bench before Collins. He's playing the 4. He's an ad. It most likely does not work out and most likely has no long-term impact. But that's an ad. We just got to take chances sometimes. I would much rather take a chance on Kyle Filipowski than Cody Williams, who started and played 30 minutes. He was all right. But before today, he averaged 2 points a game. He did score 9. He hit 3 threes, and he got 2 steals. But overall, he's more of a 14 to 16 team league guy. But those minutes are very intriguing. 30 minutes is good. It wasn't Bryce Sensabaugh. That's how I thought that would go there as well. He had 11 points with 3 threes. But now, what do you do with Collin Sexton? One of his selling points was strong minutes, efficient shooting. 0 of 7 from the field, 4 points, 18 minutes. It's been a terrible start for Sexo. Yeah, look, I would like to give it a little bit more patience, but the benching's not good. The production's terrible. I will give it a few more, but we are rapidly moving towards that's it. As for Keontae George, he still got 30 minutes. No one else did. He shot horribly, again. But you don't find 11 assists. You don't get that usage. You don't get those minutes. If you drafted him, guess what? You knew he was a bad shooter. Now, this is still worse than I expected. I'm pretty sure he'll improve. Also, he might not. He might just be bad. But I believe that is okay. Because it's not great. But this gives you almost a floor level of production. It's still not awesome. But the surrounding indicators, I think, are relatively positive. We'll see. Clarkson did some stuff, 21, 5, and 3. He's entirely unreliable. You can try him out, you can stream him, you can use him, and just be quick to drop if it falls away. That's really good, though. 21, 5, and 3. We're okay with that. The big questions here is like, the Filipowski, the Williams, and the Sexton. I would add Filipowski. I would look at Williams in deeper leagues. And for Sexton, if I'm in a shallow league, get rid of him. Like, don't even worry about that. I would get rid of him in any shallow format. In 12s, I would probably hold, and I have him, and I am going to hold. But not for very long. There is very little grace that I am giving him, given the way that things currently are going with this team. It's weird, but it's what's happening. All right, the final game of the day. The Warriors, with all the upheaval, they beat the Pelicans 124-106. Let's start on the New Orleans side. First of all, we'll start with Herb Jones, who lasted 20 minutes only, suffered a shoulder injury. They initially said he was questionable to return and then ruled him out. It was one of those ones where he sort of dove for a ball and the shoulder got jammed up, which doesn't look great. I don't think it's like, months out, but I also don't think that it's a game-to-game thing. I think we might be looking at a week or so here for Herb, but we wait and see. I will keep an eye on this as I record the end of the show to see if there's any update or any news on this, if we get anything that transpires. But at the moment, I'd be a little worried. Ingram, Zion, 30 points each. Now, Zion is still on a minutes limit. He had 31 and 8, but 60% shooting, and we needed that because his first two games were horrific. I won't say he single-handedly lost me a couple of matchups last week, but he was a part of it. Missed a game and then 2 20% shooting nights. Good to see that. Well, CJ McCollum, speaking of 20% shooting nights, 5 points for him on 25%. He blocked 2 shots, so that's a nice little bonus. Eve Missy got hit in the dick early on. He came back, he played 22 minutes, 9 and 7 with 2 blocks. There is a little bit of a cap on what he does, but if Herb is missing, and then along with Trae and along with DeJounte, he's going to continue to do well. So for now, we use him low-end guy, defensive guy, big man guy. Obviously, he's a big man. And then later on, you assess where it goes. Jordan Hawkins, if the shots don't go in, there's nothing. 5 points? No. Sorry. Too aggressive. 4 points. 4 points in 26 minutes. Missed all 6 of his shots with 1 steal. I don't mind having him. Like, it's okay to stream him in, but let's also not act like he is, impressed everyone. He's a huge breakout. He's going to do all this stuff. Like, it was a lot of shots going in at a higher level than normal, and they didn't. And long term, that opportunity, it's just not going to be there. I'm very confident in saying he won't be playing 28 minutes a night when players return. Now, of course, players may not return. And players may return and other players may go out. That is always possible. But Hawkins is a relatively empty, I believe, fantasy player overall. The second side of things. Oh, as I hit the wrong button there, my bad. It should have been this one, the Golden State Warriors and the New Orleans Pelicans. The Warriors made some changes. Steph was out. Melton was out. Wiggins was out. And they still made another addition to the lineup change. Brandon Pajewski started. We thought that might happen. They started Buddy Hield. And then they benched John Kuminga and started Moses Moody. But that didn't mean we weren't going to get other randomness happen. Of course we didn't. Now, in the end, Buddy Hield was dreadful first half, didn't start the second half, and ended with 28 points with 7 threes. He's had an incredible run of hitting threes. We know what he is. He's awesome at it. And while players are out and minutes are up, that's great. This has been a big theme of this season. It is very, very hard for anybody under 20 minutes to be a consistent 12-team league player. Almost impossible. It just doesn't happen. But when guys are out, like Curry, Wiggins, and Melton now, and Curry and Wiggins are going to miss again. Sorry, Curry and Melton are going to miss again, and Wiggins should be back tomorrow. But Hield's minutes go up, then the value is there. Huge second half. But what about my mate, Hall Pass legend, Lindy Waters III? I sort of offhand remarked about Lindy Waters, saying maybe they could play some Lindy Waters. Well, they did. 31 minutes, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 threes. Elite shooting. The worry I have here is what if this team gets healthy and then they say, well, Lindy's too good, we have to play a 13-man rotation. He was awesome here. You could stream him tomorrow, but he could also just Jordan Hawkins it and have 4 points on 0 of 6 shooting. He is a good player, Lindy Waters, and he's been underutilized through his first couple of spots. I wouldn't overreact. I would overreact. Overreact's the wrong word. You have to add Pajemski, because we said there are no ball handlers. And he did it. 19, 3 and 5, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And he didn't do that by Zaire Williams in his way to 88% shooting. He shot just 44. He didn't take a free throw, but the assists were there, the defensive stats were there, the opportunity was there. 24 minutes turns into 33. That's a clear guy to add, and then we adjust later on when guys return. Johnny Kuminga off the bench. Well, he got more minutes and he played better. 28 minutes for him, 17, 3 and 3, 2 steals and a block. I'm not the biggest John Kuminga fan. As a player, I still think there are plenty of times when he just looked lost and you question what he's doing, but there are times when he has big games. But obviously, it required 3 players being out, him being benched, big performance. Like, we hold. Absolutely we hold. But this game introduces more questions, I think, about what the hell to do with Kuminga and what the hell to do with this Warriors team. Because in this one, like, we also got absolute stinkers from Trace Jackson-Davis, who played 17 minutes and had 3 points. But he had five assists, but only 2 rebounds. He played the same minutes or fewer minutes than Kevon Looney. And if he's not playing 23, then he's not a hold. So you could move on in that spot. Moses Moody started 17 points, but played 18 minutes. He hit 5 threes. He didn't do much else. He's a good player. There's still too many guys, which is weird on this squad. Kyle Anderson, this is one of the more Kyle Anderson games you'll see. 1 point, 0 of 9 shooting. But he had 4 assists and 4 steals. He's an assist guy that doesn't do much more. And there is a role for him, but that's obviously really quite bad. And my man, the Vulture, Reece Beekman. I changed it from... I called him the 2K, and then someone said it'd be better the Vulture. Because again, he is a big defensive steals guy. So yeah, Vulture makes more sense. He barely played, but at least he played. He got a steal. There you go. That's why he's the Vulture. 1 steal, 3 minutes for Reece Beekman. A lot of people rushing to drop Draymond Green. If you drafted Draymond, what were you hoping for? 6 points? Like, getting 3 doesn't really matter. He had 7 assists. He had 1 steal. He had 2 blocks. I would categorize this as a W. It doesn't look great. When you start looking at the points, it looks bad. And in a 10-team points league, I don't know that that's a must-hold. But in categories, you would. That's sort of just doing what you wanted. The big question's got to be what happens when Curry, Wiggins, and Melton all play again. Where does Podziemski go? Where does Hield go? What does I can't remember what I was about to say there. I'll think of it because I had a funny nickname and I just missed it. That's not like me. I was workshopping a new nickname for Kuminga. I'm still not there yet. We'll get to it. We'll get to it soon. I'm workshopping it. It's in the head. It's cranking. It's cranking. We'll see what we do with Kuminga when we get to it at another point. All right. Should we monstrous line? We should. I would be shocked if anyone thinks that it is anyone other than this man. He is doing stuff that is awesome. He's doing it in far too many minutes, but it is big chungus Nikola Jokic, 29, 18, and 16. And in the theme for today's shows, the official headshot of Nikola Jokic has one of his eyes half asleep. I don't know what's going on, but that's what it looks like. I didn't edit that. Let's look at the waiver wire line of the night. The best pop-off performance from somebody who's widely available. And this man also has got something weird going on with his eye. It is the Hall Pass legend, Lindy Waters. I wonder what happened there, what got in his eye to make it go. It looks a little like sort of just half asleep. There's also a skin discoloration that he has, which is a different story. 21 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists for the Hall Pass legend. I am sure he is going to be Dennis Smithing his way all around town after that big night. Great performance from Lindy Waters. The young gun of the night, the best performance from a first or second year player across the NBA. And that one goes to Brandon Podziemski. 19, 3, and 5, a pair of blocks. When you get a bigger role, you're able to do more stuff. Again, showing that our belief in Podziemski as a player and as an asset for fantasy was there, and our skepticism about how Stephen Kerr would run a rotation was also, and they were butting heads. And then players went out, and Podziemski did more. It's a W. We hope it can continue. Why do I say "can" so many times? Let's talk about the dud of the night. Who stunk? I think you know who stunk. His name is Collin Sexton, and he played for the Utah Jazz. He was bad. I was big on Sexton early in the draft process. I was like, why is he ranked so low? He was really good last season. I don't think he's only playing 27 minutes a night. And then someone, a little birdie, sent me a message and said, hey, just be careful with Sexton because I don't think he's in their plans. I've been told he's not in their plans and expect some weird stuff. And I went, okay, that's good to know. But I didn't go aggressively against it hard enough. And I should have. That is my mistake. I should have heard that advice and gone, all right. Yeah, and I think I did. And then I saw that they started him every preseason game and I went, that's fine. We're good here. But no, he was benched. Jordan Clarkson started. I think there is, again, some other stuff going on here, whether it is because of the way that he was pulled off Giggity in the last game early on, benched here, missed his shots. There's so much stuff that goes on that we don't know about. I don't know about. I can speculate about it, but I don't know about it. But you would imagine there's something like, hey, you're not doing what we want. By the way, you're getting traded at some point. Get ready. Okay, that's not a great way to live, I'd imagine. And with some players, it's fine. Some players, it messes with their head. This may or may not be happening here. I've got no idea. But I hear that. I see what happens. I see the play drop. I see the minutes drop. I see the coaching frustration. And I put 2 and 2 together. Maybe I come out with 4. Maybe I come out with 69. I don't know. But it's not good. We talked about it earlier. If you're in a shallow league, you can drop him. In a 12, I would like to hold to see where this goes because he might have a larger role if Markkanen misses. I don't know. But it is absolutely trending in that wrong direction. It has not been good for Sexton so far. It is trending in the wrong direction. Let's look at the top 6 performers across multiple different fantasy basketball areas. We already know who the number 1 player of the day was. You know what, Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic. He was awesome. What about the rest of the top 6? Well, it's Anthony Edwards, Nick Claxton, his teammate, Dennis Schroeder, Kyrie Irving, and of course, we sneak in old mate, Hall Pass legend, Lindy Waters III. What about your top 6 waiver wire guys? Of course, Waters is at the top. Maybe stream him. Don't feel super good about that. Zion Williams is just one to lock away in the old noggin for later on. Russell Westbrook, I mean, you're not getting 10 out of 10 free throws again. Feel good about saying that. He's okay to stream. I don't feel super confident there. Kevin Huerter, more interested in streaming him. Trey Lyles was pretty good, but that's deep league stuff. And then Moses Moody got really hot late on. Again, the prioritization of him has got to be lower than a lot of these other guys. Top 6 Yahoo Points League players. Jokic is on top yet again, followed by Kyrie, Luka, Anthony Edwards, Dennis Schroeder, and Domantas Sabonis. And then to round things off, ESPN top 6 points league producers, Jokic, Irving, Schroeder, Lindy Waters III, Nick Claxton, and Domantas Sabonis. And that, all you legends, will bring us to the end of the show. Tuesday's recap in the books. We will have another waiver wire show going early tomorrow, a Friday preview show happening as well, plus a Wednesday recap. That's what, Jesus. Thursday preview, Wednesday recap, all happening tomorrow. Hit the thumb. Double bang. Let's get that 100k subs going, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. LockedOnDaily.com for newsletters. See ya.